I know we've been building this ecologist directory that you've been working on. Can you just tell me a bit of the story about why you even doing this ecologist directory?
I guess we work with a number of, well, our clients who are developers, but we also work with a number of habitat banks as well. There was I think from a sort of developer's perspective, we were finding that people would come to us really early doors. And if they'd come to us early doors in a kind of project's life cycle, it might be that they've spoken to their LPA and they've been told they need biodiversity. I mean, it's as simple as that, just biodiversity, not even units or anything. So they'd come to us and they'd be looking for some guidance. So what we wanted to try and do was kind of partner up people that we already knew with people that needed their help. So I guess from necessity, really, the Ecology Directory was born. So for us, it was about trying, it's always about, trying to help out our clients. The idea that they can come to us, whatever kind of question they've got with regards to biodiversity net gain, they come to us because, we're more often than not able to answer the question. So I guess the reason for creating the directory really was to make it a sort of space for them to go and to be able to find support. So I think because there's the people that are early on, a lot of them would need to find a number of quotes. I think it's the kind of an industry standard really in terms of like they'd have to get at least three quotes to understand the kind of the landscape and to understand the sort of the marketplace and understand really like what the costs should be. So rather than going to someone and finding it's abnormally low or abnormally high, getting a number of them to find out is probably quite important. And again, that was part of the reason for having such a breadth of support in there, is to make sure that they are able to get a range of quotes. And I think also what we've found more so with since starting the directory is that location's important. So there are clients that feel comforted by the fact an ecologist has a number of, what we'd call it really, a number of like offices or spaces across the country, but actually some want them to be close. Some want them to know the local lay of the land. They want them to know the sort of that they've had experience with the LPA that they've got their planning with. So for them it was important to have local, which is why we've also split it into region to make sure that if they want that, they can have that kind of like hyper local regional support.
And having been building the directory for a little while now, what do you say is the biggest insight you've learnt about ecologists and property developers and BNG and how all this fits together?
I think, well, what are the insights? I know that ecologists are incredibly busy and that there are times of the year when they are exceedingly busy. So developers are needing ecology support all year round. And I think, especially since BNG came into play, it's making sure that there is options for them. So I think whenever we've had an opportunity to introduce, then it's there and it's for them.
What do you like about working with ecologists?
What do I like about working with ecologists? I think it's fascinating, actually. The work that the ecologists are doing, I think, is fascinating with the baseline surveys and understanding what is on site and what's going to be impacted. And it's fascinating. So it's something that I get really excited about, which sounds a bit nerdy, but I get really excited by it and try to understand more. And I think for me, it's also trying to help interpret that for a developer's perspective as well, because that what BNG is doing is good, is a good thing, and trying to kind of communicate that is important. So understanding it. I mean, I'm not an ecologist. I'm not. I wouldn't stress that as well. I'm not an ecologist, but I'm interested by it, excited by it, what they're doing. And I think that was part of the reason for creating the directory. It was that one, through need to try and help and support our clients, but also because what they're doing is really positive, right? And to try and help them because we want to make sure that as a whole that the biodiversity market works, right? So that means that if we can help in any way support ecology firms' practices, then we'll do that. I think being on a directory doesn't necessarily guarantee work, but it is definitely another shop front for these people.